When did you first hear about the production of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead? And
well, you'd have to tell me what year it was, because all the years, over the years just all sort of melt into one. But well, I knew of the play, and I think initially it was a call from my agent saying that Tom had adapted that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead for the screen, was going to direct it, and had called, and would I meet him? And I met Tom, and I think, I might have this wrong, but I think initially he was looking at me for the part of Guildenstern. I think I got that right. And I said, I kind of like the other guy. I'd like to play. Not the dumb one, but there's a certain charm and well, they're both innocents in a way, but there's something very sympathetic and charming about Rosencrantz. And he went away and I think met other people, and I think he took his time about it, I think, because obviously it is very much a chemistry. It's a double act. And he found Tim and then called me, and I think that's how it came down.
What did you like about Rosencrantz?
Well, as I say, it's a very sort of sympathetic character. Tom had given him this thing where he's a bit kind of like a savant or something. I mean, he's sort of, to say he's dumb or he's stupid, he's not stupid. There's the leader and the led. It's Abbott, Costello, Laurel, Hardy. There's the one who, Guildenstern, I guess, is more incisive, who fancies himself a little as a sort of intellectual. And Rosencrantz is just a little slower. But he has this other thing that's genius. And he's inventing things. He invents the hamburger, and he invents the biplane, and of course Guildenstern he has no time for this. And he has the speech about the birth and death. That great speech, and that one, I just wanted to say those words.
Were you intimidated by Stoppard at all?
No. Tom's very sweet. He's a very sweet man. He's a genius. I've probably met a few. I'm lucky enough to work with a few. But he's a genius, Tom. A brilliant man. But it's not intimidating. It's not like a peacock, I'm this great intellect, I'm this great wit and this great playwright. He doesn't do that. So he's approachable, warm and charming.
He was a first-time director. Did that present problems for you?
No.
To your mind, what is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead about?
For me, It's about Hamlet. It's the story of Hamlet. I think it's simple as that. Only he's taken the two attendant lords, and he's taken Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and they are sort of set off somewhere in the. Obviously, he expands it for the movie, but they're in some antechamber in the palace, and he takes you really backstage or behind the scenes. But the thrust, the line of the film, for me, has always been it's the story of Hamlet, but it's twisted and it's told from a different. He's put the camera somewhere else, and you're looking at it from a different perspective. Because there's all the main events. So you've got kind of like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, and then going through and weaving right through it is the story of Hamlet. And there are these two really innocents who are summoned, told what they're told, given really the least amount of information by Claudius and the Queen. And they kind of don't really know what they're doing there. They don't really know what they're doing there in Hamlet. And then they end up being killed. And they don't even know why they were killed. And so, I think, brilliantly, what he's done is that you get the story of Hamlet through Rosencrantz. And once in a while, the sort of locomotive stops at the station, and they get on, and then you get a piece of Hamlet. Then they get off the train, and they twiddle their thumbs and spin coins and play word games to pass the time until the train comes through again, and then they get on, and then you get another bit of the story. And then they end up in England, and Rosencrantz says, "Well, we didn't do anything, did we?" And if you look at Hamlet, he didn't really do anything. So, I mean, obviously it's Tom having fun, a lot of fun with all of that. But I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm off the mark, but I've always seen it as it's about Hamlet.
Why does everyone mix them up? Who are these guys that they're mixed up constantly?
But Tweedledee and Tweedledum, isn't it? You know, and I think he's. I think it's Gertrude in the play where I think in the play of Hamlet there's one point where she mixes them up. And the sort of interchangeable attending lords, you know. I mean, that's the great thing about it is that I've always seen. I was once asked to play Horatio, and I didn't want to play Horatio, and I ended up not doing it. And I simply said to the director, I don't want to play a vase and be on stage with the flowers. You know, Hamlet's the flowers, and everyone else is really it's the vase that they go in, and I think that's partly the genius of it. He's written a play about the vase. And it's unique. I don't think there is another one that takes those two characters like that, attendants, and makes them the lead. I think it's a one-off.
Can you ever see Shakespeare's play again without imagining
No.
the backstory?
No, I
Tom's?
can never see another. He's ruined it for me because I can never see another Hamlet without when Polonius gets killed, without thinking that actually there's Tim and I behind the curtain, tapping him on the shoulder. What? Oh, yeah.
Do you ever think of yourself as actually dead, lying in a box with a lid on it?
No. I guess we do, once in a while. Yeah. You know, again, it's... I mean, we all stop at points and think, is this it? What's it all about? What's next? Does it just stop? Is there heaven? Is there hell? Afterlife? Reincarnation? I mean, we ask them. You know, we and of course he does it so superbly. It's a spectacular speech about straddling or striding from the moment that we're born, we straddle the grave. And see, that's where Rosencrantz, oddly enough, he is the slower one, but then he has these moments of sort of deep philosophical understanding, you know, and there's, you know, next to this sort of motor, which is Guildenstern, who doesn't. He's less reflective in that way.
You'd worked with Tim before, yes?
Yeah. I did Meantime with Tim, the Mike Leigh movie. Yeah. I mean, you know, we both adored. We loved Tom and thought he was just the coolest guy, and we loved the material. We were forever going off and rehearsing it to amuse ourselves, just to speak it, and which is it's unusual, and I've not really experienced anything quite like that since, where you might sometimes be a little hesitant about knocking on an actor's trailer door and saying, you know, do you mind going over the scene, or do you want to run the scene, or Tim and I couldn't wait. Every spare moment that we had, we were running the scenes, because we just found it so funny.
Tim said you would rehearse in the bar at night?
Yeah.
And also rehearse scenes that you'd already shot because you liked them so much.
Yeah. It was, you know, you remember going through in my personal life, it wasn't the greatest time in my life to be making a comedy. I don't know, maybe in some way it was medicinal, or that was exactly where I should have been at that moment in time, perhaps, who knows. But I was going through quite a terrible time in my personal life. So I remember it very fondly, and I remember having a lot of fun and a lot of laughs. And that really is, that outweighs the other thing that was going on. If I really stop and think about it, I'm reminded, and I think, oh God, that was a tough time. But my memory of the shoot and of being in Zagreb is a fond one. I'd go a bit nuts in my hotel room, But the work, being occupied, and on something that was so good. Yeah, I remember it with great fondness. And Tim, it was a good time. And Tom, just to be around Tom. The thing, and he laughs at his own dialogue, which I love.
You grew up in South London and were headed into a career in music first. When did that change, and when did you decide to become an actor?
I was well, I studied the piano, but I didn't really have I didn't have a great talent for it. I had a facility for it, but not a real talent for it. And I always think I was acting all of those things anyway. I was a pretty good soccer player. I tried boxing for a while. I had all the moves down, I looked very good, skipping and shadow boxing and all of that. But in a way I was maybe I was just acting it, it's just a role. And maybe the same could be said for the piano, I looked very good at the piano, I could get all the thing down, but I didn't have an enormous talent for it. And then I was 15, 16, and I watched a movie one night, which I've recently watched a couple of weeks ago, and it was called The Raging Moon, and directed by Brian Forbes, and it starred Malcolm McDowell and Nanette Newman, and I think it was called Long Ago Tomorrow here in the States. And I saw that one night on TV, and that was it. It was like a moment of clarity. I went, that's what I want to do. I want to do that.
And how did you go about doing it?
Well, I knew I had to go to... Well, I had this idea that I had to go to drama school. So I just found out what they were and wrote to them and auditioned. Just I don't know how I found out, but I worked for when I first left school. I worked for DJM Records, Dick James Music Company, and I worked as a sort of runner and a T-boy, and then I later got promoted to the art department, and it was a label that Elton John used to be with before he formed Rocket Records, and it was also Northern Songs, which of course had the connection with the Beatles. I own the catalogue of the Beatles music, and I just saw the address at the bottom of an album cover, and I wrote off. I would do stuff like that. I woke up one day and decided that I wanted to play the piano, and found a teacher and saved up my pocket money and bought a second-hand piano. And it wasn't like there was a piano at home, or I would do these things as a kid. And I decided one day I wanted to be an actor, and that was it. That's what I want to do. I'm going to do that now.
What was your first break?
My first... Well, my break as an actor in the theatre would have been a play I did at the Royal Court.
Serious Money?
No, it wasn't. It was actually a play called... It was a new play called Rat in the Skull by Ron Hutchinson.
Oh, yes.
And I was in that, and that subsequently led to... I spent almost 2 years at the court. And then I did Sid and Nancy. I'd worked with Tim in the Mike Leigh film. I'd done some television. I'd worked with a guy called Les Blair, Alan Clark, Mike Leigh, and then I got Sid and Nancy. So that was the one that, I guess that was the film that launched my career.
I first saw you in Serious Money, which was a splendid evening.
Yeah.
A really exciting performance. Yeah. And then you won an award for another play that you did, the Pope's Wedding.
Pope's Wedding,
you won the English Evening Standard Award, or Best Actor
one
Award.
One of those, I think, yeah.
And you were really exciting to watch on the stage. You never went back after Sid and Nancy, though. Do you have any wish to go back to the stage? Is that anything that appeals to you?
The last thing I did on stage was Serious Money. I played a few gigs, been on stage in a band, friend's band, because down the line I wanted to. I decided I wanted to teach myself how to play the bass. That's another idea of mine. So I did. I played the bass and ended up playing in the band with this guy. So it isn't the last time I've actually physically stood on a stage in front of an audience, but it was the last time I acted. Yeah, I got paid for it, like for proper acting, Yeah, I get misty-eyed and romantic about it. I mean, it's, to me, the theatre is like being. I test positive for the theatre. I have the disease,
What would it take to lure you back?
I don't know. I flirted. I do flirt with it. There isn't, it's at least once a year. It comes up. I've always thought I had a good Hamlet in me. I always thought I had I thought I've got a real good Hamlet. But I'm too old now. Really, I've missed the boat, I think, for that one. I'm getting to the point where I could play Claudius. That's frightening. But yeah, I flirt with
Macbeth and Lear.
Oh yeah, there's some good there's still some good roles, but but last year, or what was it last year that I'd like to have a crack at Shannon in The Night of the Iguana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was last year. I was thinking about that with Doug, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've got a manager who's the Broadway producer, you know what I mean, who loves the theatre. That's our connection, because
Yes.
we like the theatre as much as we do. So it's I think about it and I love it, but I've not done it since Serious Money, and that's a long time now. That is a long time.
We before we started this, we spoke briefly about Nil by Mouth, which was your directorial debut, and not only as a director but as a screenwriter as well. And it was brilliant. The work was brilliant, and in fact, the work that you exacted from your actors was so good that people didn't actually believe that they were actors, that they were real people. That kind of a debut would normally bring with it huge offers to direct. Will you direct again? Did you get offers? No. Surprising. Do you want to direct again?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I will. I wrote a couple of things after Nil by Mouth. One specifically thing I really tried to get money for, and I couldn't raise any money for it. Well, not the way I wanted to do it, you know. Which, you know, on film, 50 days, unknowns, creative bubble. You know, so I went that route for a bit, for quite a while, a couple of years, and I didn't abandon it, but I just put it on the shelf, and I thought, if I can't make it the way I really want to make it, I'd rather it sit there as a script than watch a film that is compromised. So in a way that I'm not really living in the real world, because after Nil by Mouth there was a big seismic shift in the industry. Things did change, and I saw, in a way, I'd earned some money and had saved some money through the acting, and I was able to put a considerable amount of my own money into Nil by Mouth. And I don't buy houses, and I don't have that kind of money. But I mean, I'm not into Ferraris and stuff like that, like some people are. You know, they collect things. So that the money that I had made went into Nil by Mouth. So in a sense, I sort of bought myself a big moving painting, really. That was my sort of art, if you want. And I had total creative freedom. I cast it how I wanted to cast it. I mean, Ray Winston has since become quite a noise, you know. He was always good, Ray. I mean, a lot of the people that I used, you know. Ray always thanks me, and I say, listen, you don't have to thank me. I just appreciated what was already there. That's all I did, you know. You were always terrific. But at the time, no one wanted Ray. Yeah. So I want to, and I've tried to do it since. But I had a sort of domestic accident as well. My life got a little derailed. So I've been slowly sort of putting the train back on the track. I recently did a music video, and that's really the first thing that I've done.
Is it fun for you to direct? Do you enjoy it?
It's busy. I like busy work. You know, you're engaged the whole time, and it's. I mean, as an actor, I've walked on a set, and I've looked at, and I thought, well, would that character have that painting on the wall, or that picture, or would that character have that lamp? Sort of looking at a set and walking around a set and looking at stuff. When you direct, you get to make those decisions. You can say that picture's not right, or that isn't right, or the colour of the wall isn't right, or I enjoyed that. I mean, you have to be an expert on everything. You have to be an expert on hair and shoes and all of that. All those things that I used to worry about as an actor, or that kind of detail, I could, as a director, oversee. I could apply it. So I could say to the wardrobe, that I don't want these colours in the movie. I don't want to cut these. I had like colours I didn't want in the film, on the set or in the costume. I didn't want. I had weather cover for sunny days because I wanted it grey. I was sort of making a black and white movie in colour because that's how I remember it. I was just in London. And it's, was it Mark Twain who said the worst winter he ever spent was a summer in San Francisco? I'd just been in London, and it was overcast and raining and cold. It was miserable. We're almost in August. And that's how I remember it as a kid. Grey sky, grey buildings, grey sidewalks, grey street, grey people. But they wouldn't let me make a black and white movie, so that was the compromise. So I said, okay, well, I'll do something with the colour, but yeah. To answer your question, yeah, I'll probably do it again. But it's amazing, it for what it's worth. We went to Cannes. We got accepted at the Cannes Festival, and it won a couple of British Academy Awards, and didn't mean a thing. Got reviews that my mother couldn't have written. And so glowing. No, I was not flooded with offers to do it.
Well, it's something that everyone who's watching this DVD should immediately go out and rent.
Oh, well, maybe they will, yeah.
And watch.
Yeah.
What effect did that movie have on you? Did it, or does it inform, or how does it inform your other work? The experience of directing a movie, and that movie.
Yeah, it's Well, I think I've always tried to be director friendly. I had a sense of how tough it must be to make a movie. But it does give you you reevaluate what it really takes to make a movie. And you appreciate everyone's involvement. Everyone's important, because the crew's got to be fed, and they want, hopefully, they get good food. My driver's late. The driver's just a driver. Well, he's not, because if he doesn't pick me up on time, you get delayed, and you get behind, and it's a lot of money. So you do appreciate just the process of making, of what it takes to actually put something like that together, and all the variables. It would amaze me every morning. It still does when I go on location, and all the trucks are there, and all the vans are there, and the breakfast is being served, and someone coordinated it and got all those people and all that stuff there on time. It's a miracle, really, making movies. And then you've got the weather. You're at the mercy of the weather. And you have a blank canvas. And you've got 12 hours to make something really memorable happen. And you've got to record it. You've got to capture it. I think that's great. The thing that I knew really nothing about, and the thing that most excited me was the editing process. I'd been on a movie set. I was a first-time director, but I'd been around sets and actors and cameras and things, so it wasn't like I just stepped in and went, oh God, what do I do? I had a sense of what it's like to make a movie, but I'd no experience of editing, even though one writes with it in mind, how scenes were cut. But that was the experience that I enjoyed. I think even beyond the shooting of it and the getting of it is in a oddly the least enjoyable, because it's just up. It's just climbing a mountain every day. But hopefully, if you've got to have the material there, and then the rewriting of it, and all the other elements, the soundscape, the music, all of that. I was thrilled. I don't know. I think I remember. Was Tom happy? Did he like the editing? He did.
Yeah. He had a great setup. He had his apartment at Chelsea, and then we rented another apartment in the building. So he said he was editing wearing his slippers, and having a wonderful time.
Yeah, no, I did. For a chunk of time, I was living in New York then, and I had a space in the apartment to edit. I had the Avid and everything set up there, so I know that it's a great feeling when you wander from, you get your coffee in the kitchen in your pajamas and you go to the edit. Yeah,
perfect.
That's one of the other things I enjoyed about directing, is that you get to stay in your own clothes. You don't have to wear all that makeup and dress up.
Along the way of your career, has there been a movie or a play or perhaps even a person who has greatly influenced you?
Well, I've worked with some great people, and it's hard to single, or unfair to single any one person out. I think I'd have to say Coppola. Yeah.
Why?
He's so courageous that it's inspiring. I mean, for my money, arguably he's the greatest American living director. And if you hold him up to anyone in history, he's up there, you know. But for my money, I just think he's the real deal. Yeah. I would put him up there. When I said I'd work with a couple of geniuses, I think I'd put him up there. I'd put him on that list. I think he's just an extraordinarily talented man, and this whole process of working and rehearsal, and it's inspiring. But he's so courageous, isn't he? I just think it's just just enormously gifted. And now Sophia. It's the family. It's in the family. Do you like that movie? Lost in Translation?
Oh, I love that movie.
Huh.
I also like Dracula.
Yeah. There's some great things in it. Just bold things, and some of it works and some of it doesn't, but it's just, and it was an interesting time. So I'd have to say Coppola.
In that movie, you played sort of hero villain, but it somehow works out that you have played some of the most ghastly villains of our time. How did that come about?
I have no idea. No idea.
Do you enjoy playing dark guys? Bad guys?
Less and less, It depends. I played two nasty guys for the Scott brothers, and I played Drexel for Tony, and I played Mason Berger for Ridley. And both times, I had they're great characters.
It's great characters.
And Ridley and Tony are good company, So I had a lot of fun working with. They're very inspiring. I mean, you asked me that question, not like I singled out Francis, but they're very inspiring. Those two. I adored working for both Tony and Ridley. Another talented family. I don't know how the villain thing came about, and then I did I did a comedy, and I thought this could be the one that could turn this around a little. It's a big ship to steer, to turn around. You know, your career's going one way. You got to turn it around, and people they need to see you do something funny, because they're not just going to. You know, I've danced on stage, sang, and done comedy. But you tell a movie producer that, and they go, "Can he be funny?" You know, I think you only have to look at Dracula to know that I can be funny. You'd have to have a sense of humour to play Dracula. I mean, it's the campest thing out. But but I did this comedy, and it was called Anastasia Moon, which later became Nobody's Baby. And my work, I'm very proud of my work in it, but it went straight to DVD. I saw it. I thought, here's my chance. Look, I can be funny. I can do comedy, but no one saw it. So,
do you have a favorite role?
No, not really. I mean, once they're done, I'll catch it on TV or go to the premiere. Or once I've seen the work, once it's done, it's done. I don't have DVDs of my own work, and so I don't. You know, I don't have a copy of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern dead. Maybe I'll get one now.
You will, yes.
Because now it's got the special feature. I want to hear what Tim and Tom said, and Richard. But you know, I don't collect things, and I don't have pictures. I don't have pictures on the wall and posters and things. If you went to my house, you wouldn't. There aren't clues. You wouldn't go to that house and go, "There's an actor that lives here."
How different is the business of acting today than when you began?
Well, there's less time to do it. Not that there was a luxurious amount of time to do it when I first started, but I caught the end of that, where you had 40, 50, 60 days to shoot a movie. I mean, I know that people like Lumet could shoot in 28 days. And, I mean, I believe he shot Dog Day Afternoon in like 20. I heard somewhere that he shot it in like 25 days. But I mean, it is all set in a bank. It is really primarily one location, and he rehearsed the hell out of it. I mean, yeah, there's no real respect or understanding for the process. And it's, we're going to shoot a movie in 18 days, we're going to shoot a movie in 20 days, and, you know, 1, 2 takes and move on. What's the point? What's the point? No rehearsal. And you get there and you kind of knock it off. So that's not fun. It's not, I mean, it's maybe better than digging a hole. You know.
Do you have any advice to give to young actors starting out today?
No, I don't. I mean, like I said,
if you test positive for it, if it's something you want to do, you're going to do it. You know, it was easier to do when I first started out. I mean, the chasm, also the divide between the top 5, 6 guys and someone like me gets wider and wider and wider and wider. It's about, I guess it's always been about, but it's about being famous, and it's about perception, and it's about marquee. I mean, I'll give you an example. The script that I wanted to direct, I wanted to go a certain way with it. And ultimately, it's why, I mean, I don't live in the real world. I know that it's why I didn't get the money for it. Someone said to me, look, if you want to cast Russell Crowe, I'll give you the money for it. It didn't matter to them that the character was a 56-year-old Italian American from New York. I get Russell Crowe, I can have the money. And I said, with respect, you know, I think Russell Crowe's a very good actor, but I see a certain guy, a certain type for this part, and Russell Crowe isn't it. That was 3 years ago. Today, if I came to you or went to someone and said, I'm making my movie, I got Russell Crowe, they would say to me, and who's playing the girl? Now it's who's playing the girl. You can't get Russell Crowe and a bunch of unknowns. Now you've got to get Russell Crowe, Cameron Diaz, and then, or Nicole Kidman, or, you know. So it's all it's become about, it's so about being famous and networking. And there are things that maybe I'd like to do, or I'd like to play, and I just can't even get in the door. It's reality. That's what it is. I don't go to premieres, really. I don't go to parties. I don't go to the Golden Globes. I don't network. I don't do all of those things. I'm not interested. So you've got to do all of that as well. You've got to work at being famous. Being good isn't good enough. Being talented isn't good enough.
Do you still have ambition? Do you have a goal still?
No, not in the same way. But I never did, you know. I mean, I never really had. I mean, I've never coveted. You know, once in a while I've had a moment in the spotlight. A couple of times. I mean, Dracula was certainly one, and Sid Nancy, and then again with The Contender. And I did a couple of shows with Dennis Miller and Charlie Rose and Leno and you know, but and for the first time ever in my career, I had a publicist, and it lasted a week. I said, it's not me. I can't do this. I can't do this. It's not who I am. So I've never, you know, you don't just do good work and you get nominated. You know, but it's become more, so I've seen it become, the industry has changed quite a bit since I started, and the actual physical, the process of doing it. is shorter. You just get less time to do it.
Are you a happy man?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with it all, you know. And I got 2 sons. I got 3, but I've got these 2 little ones here, and I'm a single dad, and I have sole custody of them. So at 43, I woke up one day and that was, you know, I'm a single dad and living in California and you know, broke in a rental, divorced, and I took 2 years out for, you know, really to just be with the boys. So that's my project. That became my sort of my project. So that's my main focus, really now. The kids. I have no, you know, it's a full-time gig, so I don't have much choice over that, and I'm not very good at delegating, and I do actually tend to do a bit too much, and I could make my life a little easier. I do realise that. I'm learning that to do that. You know, but I get up and take them to school and pick them up. I have to do that. You know, I do the homework with them and you know. So I have even less time, you see now. I go out even less than I did, which was so I'm happy doing that. I'm not angry or bitter about it. But you asked me, has it changed? You know, and I think, yeah, the process of acting has changed. The business has changed. But you're still doing it. See, you test positive, don't you?
I do.
You can't help it.
I do. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah?
That's great.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Terrific.